Okay, so Austin King is here.
Yeah.
Austin, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
John Wood is on vacation, I know that, and David LeClaire is not here apparently, so. Julie is here, AC is not here, Danny is not here, Denise is here. Did Rudy break his leg or foot or something? My gosh. When did that happen?
I think about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago.
I heard 3, but who knows?
I heard water skiing, so
Water skiing?
I don't know how you do it in
Fun
water
thing.
skiing, but
Oh, yeah, I can, yeah, you can. I've done it before. Hi, Carol, how are you?
Oh, fine.
Okay, Joe is here, Maria is not gonna be here, Anthony, okay, so, and then Mr. Overlander is here, and I am here. So I think we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and begin. We'll just go around the table real quick, for introductions.
So yeah, Austin King, Associate Students.
Jordan Roscoe, Associate Students.
Denise Albright, one of my classified center president, and lived for a while.
Julio Huerta representing issue.
Julie Kiotis, representing Senate.
And Joe Simonescu with Business Services.
And Carol, you want, oh, Keith, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
Keith Oberlander, math faculty.
And Carol?
Carol Robinson, classified Senate.
Dan Haley, library.
Okay, I think we've got everybody. Okay, so let's go to the minutes of the June 27th meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll upset.
Okay, one abstention, Julio. Very good. Okay, we're at the public comment. Does any member of the public wish to address us? Okay, hearing none. Appointed member, Gary is on vacation this week, but he has been appointed by Issue CFT to be a member of our group. Hey, AC, how are you? Pinella, how are you? Good to see you. So Gary is going to be representing Issue CFT on the Brac group. Okay? Before we jump into item number 5, good to see you, sir. Nice to see you. I wanted to just quickly reference the last update that I provided the Board of Trustees at the July 17th meeting. And this document is dated July 11th. And hello, Dr. Bell. And I won't take time with the group unless the group wants to go through each one of these sections. But basically what this is an update of our 13-14 budget as of July 17th. And the roughly 13 points that I discuss speaks to what our budget situation is. So I'll do a quick overview of them. And there are some PowerPoint slides that go along with this. But basically, the district was owed $37 million for it between as a combination of education protection account and deferral income. We have received or will receive all of these funds by July 2013, with the exception of a small amount, $294,000. So that is good news. Just another quick reminder that deferrals are not over yet, in the sense that the state as a whole will be experiencing $4 billion worth of deferrals throughout 13-14, at least that's what's currently projected, so that will have some impact on us. And then I also go on to remind everybody that deferral buyback dollars are not new dollars. These are funds that were owed and due the district that were not received in a timely manner that required us to borrow money. And to deal with our cash flow needs, the district executed interfund borrowing, and the district further had to exercise a taxpayer revenue anticipation note. That note of $10 million is due and payable no later than October 2013. And then there's a slide that is attached that kind of does a visual overview of that. And basically the first slide speaks to when we're going to get the money. June 24, 2013, 16 million July 9th. We got the 21 million. They still owe us $293,000. The next slide speaks to where these monies are going. The $37 million of funds. We have to pay ourselves back the interfund borrowing of $10 million, which occurred in this month. And then we have $5 million due and payable of the first half of the Tran in September, and $5 million for the second half of the Tran in October. That leaves us a balance of $17 million, and basically that $17 million goes to replenish the cash that we had to take out of our reserve in order to keep ourselves going from a payroll and other expenses and perspective. So I kind of speak to that a little bit. Then item number 4 basically talks about redevelopment agency funds and what the situation is relative to those funds, and that depending on how all that happens, there is something called a deficit factor, which is the largest that's ever been experienced by the California community colleges. For our district, if we got all 4.31% paid to us, which is doubtful, it would be as much as $4.8 million. The Community College League of California, the Chancellor's Office, and others are pushing the Department of Finance very hard to try and reduce that deficit factor significantly. And the definition of a deficit factor is if 100% is what was owed us, the deficit is what they are paying us, which is some 95-something%. So it's this difference. So we will see something, but as I underscore, at this time, the funding source should be considered very, very speculative. So it isn't even something that we are including to any significant degree at the moment in our budget planning. But by the time we begin to finalize this thing, we'll have some idea. In fact, that some idea, August 9th, myself and Joe and Marie will be going to a Chancellor's Office a business officers workshop where the cash flow and other updates relative to how we're going to get our money this year will be spoken to. Beyond that, number 3, we did get the 1.57% cost of living adjustment. For us, that's $1.58 million. We will get the growth funding restoration of 1.63%. This, if we actually achieve the growth, and that is an if, we would collect as much as $1.6 million if we make our growth targets, and we'll talk about that a little bit. In addition to that, there is something that used to be known as matriculation dollars that is now known as student success and support funding. Our portion of the increase is going to be $900,000. And those of you who are somewhat familiar with this might recall that at one point matriculation was a total of almost $100 million, and then through the state reductions went all the way down to $49 million. So in effect, what the state has done is, in this budget, is given us back $50 million, taking us back up to 99. So our percentage of that is about $900,000. Now, in order to keep everybody who is providing services to students in those grant-funded positions in place, the district during the last several years took on that payroll and that benefit expense onto what's known as its general fund. So we took on the expense, we kept employees in place to provide services to students. The first call on the $900,000 will be to transfer those employees' salaries and those benefits back to the O3 or soft or grant-funded positions, which will release that money back to the district for other purposes.
Is this what we were calling SASE grants?
No. There's something called matriculation funds that have been around Dr. Bell for decades, right? Matric dollars?
Yeah, at least since the 80s.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. So, and then they were reduced. So this is actually just a making whole of what was there. And again, we funded counselors, we funded educational advisors, we funded other types of student services positions with these dollars. And again, when the money went away, we transferred that expense to the district, and now we're going to transfer it back to the extent that we can to this money. Okay? So that's but the good news there is that actually will return $900,000 to the general fund to use for other purposes. And then there's a variety of other things that we will receive approximately 1.8% of for things like CalWorks and foster and kinship programs and faculty office hours. There's a whole plethora of funds for different purposes that got increased funding, and whatever that increased funding is, we'll get 1.8% of. The exact dollar numbers, no one's sure of yet, but it will be more money to the district. It won't be a lot of money, but it'll be money.
Will it be categorical? Will they say part-time
Yes.
office hours?
Yes.
You have to put in this
Absolutely.
much?
Yeah, it'll all be categorical, and these are just 3 examples I think I threw in there. But yes, absolutely categorical. And then overall, there's like $16.9 million to enhance and expand online education programs. That will likely come, at least a good portion of it, in an attempt at a statewide buy of learning management systems to effectuate discount pricing. So a statewide California Community College Blackboard license, a statewide California Community College, perhaps Canvas license. That's how they're going to try to do that. Yes, ma'am.
You're not telling me we might change.
No,
are
I'm
you?
not telling you that. I'm not telling you that
Okay.
at all. I'm not
All
telling you
right,
that at all.
please don't tell me
I'm
that.
just telling you that the money is likely they're going to
Okay.
try to do that. Carol may know more about
We
that.
already have that.
Okay.
Yeah, through the
Just making
foundation.
sure.
No, we
California
go through
Foundation.
California Foundation
Yeah.
and get a
Yeah.
cheaper rate than the actual.
So we're not going to black.
Don't ask me.
No, the
I
answer is no.
understand.
As far as I know, the answer is
Okay.
no. As far as I know, people are relatively happy with Canvas
Yes,
too. So
we are.
yeah, no.
Plus, it's been a steep learning curve.
I know.
We're just getting there.
I know,
We're just
I know.
driving it right now.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, but that's good. But anyway, the point is there's going to be some monies, and people like Carol Robinson and others
Can I ask
will.
a question?
do
Carol,
that.
can I ask you, with this specific item, if it's going through the state, we already have the discounted rate. Is this a different discounted rate?
Well, I
Should we
don't-
be trying to lobby at a state level to
Yeah,
maintain,
there's-
like, getting Canvas in?
We've always bought the learning management system through the state.
Okay.
But not Canvas, I don't think.
No, not Canvas.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Blackboard.
Well, I was just wondering if this is a moment, as Julie is rightly saying, like, if we should be lobbying to include Canvas at the state level. I'm sure that we're happy to have a letter writing campaign on Canvas to get that
Anything
go.
that reduces the price of Canvas would be great.
Yeah.
So we need, if that's a follow-up
Yeah.
moment for us, I think that was a good question.
Exactly. Okay, and then on the Prop 39, roughly $48 million, thanks to taxpayers like us. And our share of that is going to be roughly $900,000. We have $23.6 million worth of energy efficiency programs that we have submitted to the Chancellor's office. If we were to get $24 million, we could save the district $885,000 a year annually in operations expenses. Now, clearly we're not going to get $24 million. But in order to get in line for this money, we had to put a plan together. Reuben Smith and his team did that, submitted the plan. The good news is that we will likely get more than $880,000 because there are 10 districts that have floated bonds in very recent couple of years. In their bond measures with significant energy efficiency programs, which means they're not going to need the Prop $39. So there'll be more money in the pool. In addition to that, there are many districts who will not be prepared to submit the applications for Prop 39. So we are in a position to get an amount of money, hopefully a significant amount of money, over the $880,000, which will lead to cost savings, which will then put more money back in the general fund. So obviously it's our energy bills will go down and things like that. We'll see some solar panels up on rooftops of parking structures as an example, all that kind of stuff.
But will there be a layout on the district's part in order to get those cost savings?
The answer is hopefully not.
Okay.
Because in working with Southern California Edison and working with Pasadena Water and Power, there are lots of initiatives, or whatever word I'm looking for, rebate programs. We're going to be working our way through all of that. So we'll try to be as efficient as we can about that.
And oftentimes energy efficiency is conflated with sustainability.
Right.
Right, and I'm wondering, is there any kind of sustainability moment? So I know that like our associated students have worked really hard to expand kind of our recycling programs. Is that something that would be able to be funded under this? Is it written in such a way that it might support that kind of?
From what I've seen thus far, no.
Okay.
Because it really is tied to energy efficiency. But there are other programs like that that are available out there. And thanks to our students, thanks to our staff and our faculty, we actually have one of the more effective recycling programs of our California community colleges. I think actually we won an award or two about that.
Right, I just want to
There's
make sure
more
if
to
it's
do.
funded in another way that we should
Yeah.
try to capitalize on.
Although I am trying to get rid of the ugly Smurfit blue recycling bins that are in the between the V and the C building. I'm trying to
Well,
move
I've
those
heard that if
someplace else.
recycling is sexier than.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But those bins are ugly. Putting that aside, then there's $30 million in deferred maintenance funding, and we had not seen money from the state for deferred maintenance for at least 5 or 6 years. So we will get some piece of that for what is at least $40 million of deferred maintenance projects on this campus. Don't know how much yet, but we will apply for some of that. That will require matching funds. And we actually have a projects list, literally this long, that is with the Chancellor's office now. And what we're trying to find out is, will the Chancellor's office require us to stick to that list, or can we modify that list based upon other priorities? So we're working our way through that right now. So we'll get some piece of that money. EOPS and DSPS each are going to get roughly $270,000 out of a $15 million award to each of them. These two groups very effectively lobbied both the governor's office and the legislature, and they got the additional funding. Again, we'll use that money to pay ourselves back for positions that we funded when the times got bad, and whatever's left will go to other things, we think. No. CalWorks is going to get some additional money, and we'll get a piece of that. CalWorks, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, CalWorks is for single moms, right, I think?
Correct, and
Yep.
they have to have state aid.
And state aid, single moms on state aid, and it's a
Mhm.
specific program for that group.
Or dependents, because it's also if they are supporting like a parent or something,
Yeah.
you can be funded for CalWork. So it's a single female with dependents.
With dependents. Okay, so that's that. And then the whole adult education thing, I'm sure you guys have heard through one form or another that the governor and the state and others want to basically take another look at how adult education services are provided in the state. And there was all kinds of talk for a while there, but what it boiled down to is planning grants. And the state is funding, I believe it's 2 years of planning grants, actually $25 million for local planning grants for up to a 2-year period, where service providers will develop regional consortia to provide adult education services to students. We are one of, I want to say, 10 or 12 or some number like that of community college districts in the state that has an adult education program. So I imagine Dr. Bell and Dr. Ariano and the faculty and our colleagues at the Community Education Center will be working closely to partner with probably PUSD, probably El Monte Union High School District as the two that I'm aware of that have adult education programs.
Yeah, we're actively engaging PUSD in that discussion now, and El Monte on it. So we're looking to get those high school districts engaged in discussions so I could develop a consortium. And we're also looking at our current programming, our program itself, the packaging of it at CEC to make sure that we're fully compliant. And we probably will kick off the discussion with PUSD once we get back in the fall, so
Right.
in the next few weeks.
Right. So that's happening. And then I wanted to, I want to remind the board about the whole workload restoration reality, which is why we are in a huge growth mode right now. The long and the short of it is that in 11-12, as you've heard me say, our workload, we had what they call a workload reduction. Our FTES base was reduced by roughly 1,700 credit and non-credit FTES. That was $7.65 million. That was reduced from our bottom line, if you will, in terms of, or actually our revenue source. And then in actually, and then at 910, 816. So between the two, 3.6 million and 7.65, we were reduced by roughly, 11.5 million dollars. Last we heard, and this could change, but last we heard is that we had 13, 14, and 14, 15 to make that up, and even half of 14, 15, in order to have our workload reinstated. If we don't, the last we heard is that money, that FTS would permanently be reallocated to those districts who could use the FTS because they were in larger growth areas than we were. So not only are we working to generate the FTS that we need to generate for in the normal course of things, which I think this year, I'm trying to remember, Dr. Bell, 21,000 something?
FTS?
Yeah, do you remember?
21,700 something.
Yeah, so close to 22,000. That's our new 13, 14 workload, but on top of that we need to try and make up what we've lost. So that means that the college is in significant growth mode in terms of number of sections offered, ways in which we offer those sections, possible locations for where those sections would be located, what have you. And so we're focusing on those courses that lead to graduation, lead to workforce certificate completion, and lead to transfer. And I know that Dr. Ariano, the deans, faculty, they're focused in that direction, and we're adding lots and lots of sections. Julie?
Full-time, how many units is that in a year?
How many units is that in a year? Units.
How many units do they need to
Sections?
be a full-time equivalent
Oh,
student?
12. 12 per semester.
12 per semester, so
Yeah,
24.
Yeah, so
Okay.
24 per, that's a 12, that's right.
It's
Roughly.
per semester, so
Okay.
it's 24 over when you look at the primary term.
Yeah, 12.
Thank you.
I thought you meant how many units does that total, that
No.
22,000, I'm trying to do the math in my head.
So the follow-up is when you say you're adding this, there are two ways to add FTES, and one is to add sections, and one is to raise class sizes. What's our current plan?
A combination of both.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Penella. In other words, the quote-unquote more efficient you can become by putting as many students as you can per contract and every other things into a class, the greater the FTES at presumably a lower cost. So it's a combination of adding those sections and being very efficient as we can. And also, I might add, adding the sections that students normally want to go to, because we offer a lot of courses that don't enroll to their full amount, depending on what NCN we're talking about, but the 1982 NCN, for example. I mean, a course might have an NCN of 25 or 30 students, but because of the course that it is, it might enroll 20 students or something like that.
Oh, so is it between, say you took more in one semester, is it like overall the whole year 24 units for a student, or is it like, can you do like 15 and then 8?
I'll defer to Dr.
Yeah,
Bell
it's-
on that.
When we talk about FTS, it's average, and the average views, your FTS is based upon a full-time equivalent student in 12 units per academic period. And it varies, some students go over, some students are under, but it's how you average across, on an average, 12 units per academic period, or 24 per year.
Pretty much the same standard that you get for financial aid is the same standard that we have to meet in order for you to get financial aid. Does that make sense?
Financially modeled,
So if you
it's
think about the
same model applies
similar,
to our EOPS students,
Yeah.
that same kind of equivalent model.
Okay. So, and then the last thing that I speak to here is that over the last 5-6 years, or since 2007-8, the system has lost roughly 18% of its what you might call purchasing power. So that was over $930 million. So what the California Community College League and the chief executive officers and CBOs and the chief instruction officers, everybody's beginning to lobby for this so-called super COLA that's tied to a deficit factor. The K-12 is protected through a funding formula that they have, whereas community colleges are not protected. So when we've lost this 18%, we've lost the 18%. We've got to claw our way back to that. So there's efforts afoot, I'm not sure how successful they're going to be, to try and get us on a funding formula that automatically makes us whole. And that's kind of where we are right now. We're not going to get the full $930 million back, or it's going to take quite a while before the system before that happens. but that's just what that reality is. So the bottom line is, let's go down to the bottom here. August 9th, we're going to go to this meeting and we're going to figure out what our cash flow realities are. We are going to go to the board on August 21st with another budget report where we're going to sort of explain what's going on. And then at the September 4th meeting, is that what it is? Is that what I said?
Mhm.
Whatever the first meeting is, at the September 4th meeting is when we will go to the board for a final budget. So what will happen is we'll have to put a Brac meeting somewhere in between that, probably close to that August 21st date, 24th date, in order to talk about the budget. Yeah, August 22nd. Okay, so that's kind of where we are, and the PowerPoints, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on those. I went through the first couple. The next slide talks about what the 12-13 projected and actual as of July 6th was in terms of our budget situation, and I can answer questions on that if you like. Again, this is not final. Will be final almost any day now as we're closing the 12-13 books, but this was a point in time. And then the cash flow projections, you can see what that is, and I'd be happy to respond to any questions on that. Or if I can't answer, I'll ask Joe to try.
Can I ask just one question? I was talking to Bridget about our EOP&S budget. Now, is it true that they only rolled over a portion of it for now?
Oh, the 50%?
Yeah, the 50%?
So what's generally happens, from what I understand, is that we load a 50% budget to continue the operations of the college, for us to do requisitions, to pay the bills, that kind of thing. On September 4th, I think, is when we go back to the board for an approved budget.
Okay.
That's when the whole budget for the
Will be
district will be
loaded.
loaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
But traditionally, it's just been 50% until the actual budget is approved by the board.
Okay, so now I have one other question. We give out the book vouchers for the students, and so far I have 561. Do I go lower than the norm just to be on the safe side?
Well, I would do one of two things. Well, I would do these two things. I would talk to Dr. Levo,
Right.
find out what she and your team feels is needed, and if for some reason the loading the 50% budget isn't doing what it needs to do, then Dr. Levo can go to Dr. Bell and he can provide authorization if he cares to allow more spending to take place.
Okay. Thank you.
And also because it's a soft money thing, we might even feel a little more comfortable about that because we know, I was going to say we know for certainty the money's coming, but then again, we just spent 10 minutes talking about something not so certain. But
Yeah. No, I
we're in a better
understand.
place right now. Yes, sir.
According to a memo a few days ago, everybody gets a 4.7% raise except the faculty. Could you comment on that?
So the bottom line to that is the Faculty Association and the district continue to be in negotiations relative to the contract for the faculty. They have not, the two parties have yet to come to agreement on that. Therefore, until such time as there is some agreement, there is not a raise for the faculty. I know that on August 21st, the board will be taking up the topic at their board meeting in terms of what the board's next steps will be. I'm sure the Faculty Association is working on their strategy for what its next steps will be, but that's basically the reason why.
But since you don't seem to know, the faculty was not offered 4.79. The faculty was offered 2.79 and a 20% workload increase.
Right. So, and actually, to be very clear, not debating it, the faculty I think was offered 2.4%
Oh,
plus.
excuse me. I have the
Yeah, it's 2.4%
report on me.
for the first year. It's 2.4 for 13-14 and 2.4 for 14-15, I believe. There's been a lot of versions of it, but it's.
That is not what was offered. And I have it in writing, but you can continue and I'll give it to you in writing in a minute as soon as I've read it.
Okay, that's fine. So that's why it continues to be in negotiations, and there it is. But I don't want this to turn into negotiations.
No, it wasn't, but we should be clear on our facts,
Absolutely,
particularly
and that's fine,
for
Julie.
posterity.
I agree, Julie, there's no problem with that. Okay, so so with that said, from a budget development point of view, the Business and College Services team is developing the 13-14 budget, which is predicated on the 12-13 budget, plus other fixed expense operational items that we know are going up in cost, such as health, welfare benefits, such as salaries, such as those things that are necessary to keep the place open. We then have, we think we will have some additional funding for critical needs. And what we thought we would do today is spend the rest of our time basically talking about those critical needs. Julie, did you want to comment?
Yes, a 2.4 increase on the salary schedule for 13-14 is what was offered.
Right.
No 0.79 for COLA, but a 20% workload increase.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So I'm going to ask Joe to walk us through this part of the discussion.
Jordan, do you mind getting the lights for me? Thank you.
So
That's a
part
good percent.
of everyone got this in their packet?
Everybody has one.
Okay.
And the
So-
backup sheet that John put in.
Okay. So in last month's meeting, you were provided the same PowerPoint presentation with the numbers and the information that we had as of last month. This PowerPoint presentation added a little more and gave us a little more definition and clarification. And at the next Brac meeting on the 22nd, we'll definitely have a more on-target type of budget. This is what was presented last month, number 1 through 7 in black, as critical needs that, as we were putting these numbers together, that we came up with as potential needs for the district. Last month, we were asked for any other recommendations from Brac or any recommendations to be sent to us for possible planning priorities. So what's in black is what was presented, what's in blue is what some people brought up in the meeting and what I believe other people emailed. So what I wanted to do today, as we're planning this process and kind of coming up with a priority list, if there is additional money, we need to prioritize and make a recommendation of what is the most important thing, down to, not that it's not important, but the lowest priority on the list. So my first question before we go any further is, in blue, there were 4 items that I thought were pretty much the same thing. Item number 2, the Cultural Diversity Center funding. Item 5, Cultural Center, Cross-Cultural Center. Item 6, Women's Needs Center. And item 7, the Dream Center. I thought this was under the umbrella of the Diversity Center. So if somebody can kind of walk me through and tell me if that's correct, so we can collapse those 4 things into one.
Those were
You want me to do it?
actually added in by John Frazier, so I'm not sure if Associated Students wants to speak on his behalf.
Well, I'll do it. So originally, I had actually proposed the SASE grant last year when I had got into office to do a cross-cultural center in conjunction with Safe Zone Coalitions, as well as Associated Students and multiple bodies on campus. It would be an umbrella place for all these things, I think. It would be great. I originally stemming from a AB 540 and a LGBTIQ and A place for students on campus. I totally forgot the UCLA instructor's name, but he wrote a book and wrote a thesis basically saying that if you invest time in
Tinto.
Thank you. If you invest time more in your extracurricular activities, such as your race, your class, gender, and ethnicity, your educational goals will increase, as well as your degree and how much money you make as far as the future goes. Cross-Cultural Center would definitely cover all this, because you can get the Dream Center, which is your AB 540, and your DreamAct students involved as well. Your Women's Needs Center, I think that's definitely something huge on campus that we don't give enough attention to, is women's rights, women's needs, as well as rape culture, stuff like that needs to be addressed on campus. A Cultural Diversity Center is you could put that under the Cross-Cultural Center, but John proposed it to you guys because it was just really big initiative that we definitely need to do on campus. Originally I wanted to go in the G building, but
No, we want the gallery.
that's right. That's the
Center for the Arts?
no, it's
No,
it's
the
the
gallery
art.
that's
The
in the
art.
basement.
We have the art.
That's what I was
So
supposed to
for
do.
the purpose of planning a budget, would the line item for the budget be
The
cross-cultural
cross-cultural
center?
center.
And then
Yeah.
underneath that, for planning purposes, whoever had authority over that budget line item would kind of dissect that money into and feed into these other areas?
That was originally the plan, and last year from Prop 30, we gave about $65,000 that was
Mhm.
passed. So are we talking about an additional
Additional.
portion to that? Because we still have that budget item for the cross-cultural center.
The money's there, but I think the way we'd look at it now is, if in fact this was a priority, we would ask whomever on the administrative side of the house would have responsibility for that to develop a budget
Mm-hmm.
and present that to us, and so we could do what we needed to do.
Okay.
So, and that's a good point. None of these things right now are being funded. So again, we're just creating a list, other than money that's already there. This
Okay.
is for additional needs.
Okay.
So we're creating a list of the highest priority to the lowest priority. So those budgets would need to be developed, turned in,
Mm-hmm.
and then if there was additional money coming into the district, or if there was money left over at the bottom line, the highest priority could be funded.
So, AS, the Safe Zones Coalition, has been working with Scott Thayer and Cynthia Olivo to develop a plan around additional funding and programmatic support for the
Mhm.
Cross-Cultural Center. Currently, as everybody knows, we have a shell of a Cross-Cultural Center, meaning we have a name, but
Mhm.
it's a closet that's inside the
The
CC
CC
building, so you have to
right.
like wind your way through. So it doesn't have either staffing or long-term funding. Jordan is partially correct around the reasoning behind it, but yes, we're going to be doing. There will be a proposal moving forward around long-term programming and planning and staffing.
Okay, so would it be good if I took the whiteboard and started to list these things in priority order, just so we can get an idea? How would you like to do this? Or I can just take notes.
That's up to you.
Okay, I prefer just to take notes.
When's the when do you want that deadline? When do you want that done too?
I think
Clearly, like next week.
probably.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's say by next Friday, a week from tomorrow.
Okay. So Jordan, we're setting up a meeting with Scott this week anyway, but
Got
I'll
it.
follow up with you.
Okay.
So I think what I heard is at least 2, 5, and 7 are combined?
2, 5, 6, and 7.
And 6 too, okay, so the women's need was, okay, good, okay.
So basically, we have additional personnel, El Monte Unified High School District, adult school, instructional equipment, marketing, professional development for centered in human resources, but for all staff, the SASE initiative, or Student Access and Success Initiative, program improvement funds, a cultural, cross-cultural center, a completion agenda task team, fiscal comparable, I'm not sure what that is.
Miss Julie was the one that brought that up to, I'm sorry, yeah.
Which one?
Julie?
Remember?
Fiscal
It was
comparable?
a fiscal comparable.
That we need to do some sort of,
Oh, salary survey
Salary
tied to
survey.
faculty, just to.
not only faculty, I
Everybody,
think
everybody, yeah, you know,
We
fund
need to
a,
invest
fund a
some
salary
money
survey,
in finding out what's happening here, because we have some serious problems.
some benchmark salary statements.
Okay, and then last but not least, or second to last but not least, property for dorms for international and regular students, and then student
Regular.
employment.
Domestic.
You might as well just said normal.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
sorry.
It's a funny use of language.
I'm still acclimating.
No, I'm sorry to pick on you.
That's okay. So international and domestic students. All right. So we have a list of looks like 12 things, 12, 13 things. So from my perspective, we cannot do the job that we need to do if we do not have the workforce to do it. So just to start the conversation, I would recommend that additional personnel be high on this list of priorities, and not in any particular organization of the district, because we have so many different areas. Yeah.
Can I ask why we were separating out student employment from additional personnel?
John Wood submitted a proposal, which is also part of your package,
I included it, yeah, everybody should have a copy of it.
Right.
and I don't have an answer to it.
Okay.
I would say that one is for permanent full-time employees of the district, and one is for a program for students to be employees of the district.
Okay.
So in my mind, they truly are separate things, but
Okay.
open for
I
conversation.
just wondered if there was like other budgetary reasons that we would do that.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think it's important to at least put on the table. The district over the decades has employed I think the last count, we have over 1,300 student assistants and college assistants.
No, I'm not against it, there's a lot
No,
of data
but I
around.
need to tell you where we're going with this. Our colleagues at Issue CFT and others are concerned with the number of positions that part-time staff have been filling for many, many, many years. I mean, the same people in the same part-time job for 10, 15 plus years, right? So one of the things that we will be doing this year is looking at all of these part-time jobs and in many cases doing what we can to convert. In fact, we are spending, you saw something from Maggie, our payroll supervisor, over $5 million a year on all of these hourly funded positions. So where I'm going with this is to basically say, as Dr. Bell and I approve college assistants, student assistants, we're going to be taking a very close look at what the need is so we don't exacerbate a situation that we know needs to be worked on. And Terry Hampton, our Executive Director of Human Resources, will be leading a task team to begin to explore that issue. So here in Brac needs to know that that's certainly something that we're aware of and we're going to be dealing with.
Right. My only addition is that there's a bunch of research around our underserved students tend to graduate and succeed if they're employed on campus.
Absolutely.
And it's a massive issue. And I teach in a couple of programs where we have underrepresented students who the major reason they drop out is because they can't.
They have money. And as I recall, student assistants can only be student assistants either by board policy or state policy if they are full-time students. They have to be enrolled in 12 units in order to be. And I don't think the issue that we have, nor our colleagues have, is with student assistants as much as it is with the so-called college assistants, which is a bigger issue to everybody, I think.
Right. I just want to make sure that we're also not.
Right.
Our primary goal is to make sure that students succeed,
Yeah.
and I would hate to see us
Right.
make that choice.
Exactly.
At the expense of students.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that additional personnel and student employment is two different potential line items. That student employment is a significant need that the district has because of the criteria and the ability to get students to continue through their programming and graduate. Out of those two, is one more important than the other on this list of priorities? So we have a starting point?
My first response is I think that I would like some more data around it. I'm thinking of specific programs that have asked for on the student side. So I've heard from Bob saying we need to see how people have been funded in positions or in positions currently. But from the student perspective, I know some programs have tried to get their students enrolled or try to get students jobs on campus and they haven't been able to find them. So I'm not sure what our needs and demands are. So having a little bit more data around that might be helpful too.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, but for the purpose of creating a priority list, can we make one and 1, 2 just for now? And again, a priority list doesn't mean it's set in stone. It's something that kind of ebbs and flows.
Right.
So out of those two, is one more important than the other?
I would vote that full-time personnel are required in order to hire students.
Okay.
I mean, if we don't get more faculty and more staff, we certainly can't do anything
Okay.
with our student hires.
All right, good. So
Can't get the
additional.
buildings open.
It's a slight problem. We
So-
need the mentors to have mentees.
Perfect. And then, so student employment, 2. All right, so number 3, again, going through the list, talking earlier about, or listening to Bob go through the memo to the board, we talked about FTE increase and trying to recapture those numbers back from 2008, 9, and 11, 12.
Yeah, right.
2 fiscal years. We're looking at the potential of El Monte Unified High School District, or Union School District, I forget what it is. They have some space that they are open to leasing to the district for a nominal amount. This would give us the ability to increase FTES. It would give us the ability to offer more classes. In my mind, this is a significant priority and something that if we have the funds to fund, that should be at the top of the priority list.
And there's one other reason why we might want to consider this. For decades, the district has not done a good job of serving, if you will, the southeast portion of our district. And so students, it can take them, particularly those who travel via bus, up to 2 hours and 4 or 5 transfers to get to this campus. And even on a good day, it's a 30-minute drive usually from that part of our district. So the El Monte Union High School District facility, it's now an adult school. We would turn it into the Rosemead site, the Pasadena City College Rosemead site, and we would be offering primarily transfer courses, degrees that would help lead to graduations or what have you. There would be some adult school, primarily the ESL variety and that type of thing, to service those students, but it would not be opened up as an adult school right out of the. It would not be opened up as an adult school initially. It'd be opened up as a general education facility. Dr. Bell, did I describe that more or less correctly? Yeah. So, and by the way, the building will have 12 or 13 classrooms in the main building. Then there's a small property that's tied to it. We can add at least 2 more classrooms. So it'll be 14 general use classrooms plus at least 1 computer lab. It's set up as a school right now. It's a very, very nice facility. And if anybody ever drives down Rosemead or heads that direction, it's the Rosemead Adult School, and it's right across the street from Rosemead High School. There's an in and out on the other corner, kind of right across the street from that. So
Everybody
Well,
knows
then
where
everybody's
it is.
it's very close. It was built in 99, 2000. It's very well made. It's in
What
great
street
shape.
is it on?
It's on Rosemead Boulevard.
It's on Rosemead and Mission.
It's just beyond, I want to say Doherty?
Mission.
It's Mission.
Just beyond
It's
Mission, yeah.
Would there be offices there?
Yes, administrative offices, and there'll be some room for faculty to do their thing over there.
So faculty would have office hours then?
Yeah,
I would hate
think
for us to set up,
I would think so, but that's up. The deans and Dr. Bell and Dr. Ariana will have to figure out all that. But
I would
yeah,
hate for us to set up a recipe for failure.
yeah, and that's a good conversation. I don't know if there's any thought about faculty being permanently located over there or assigned over there. I don't know how
But
that
you have
might
to
work.
be able to have, if your students are going there, they have to have access to you, and if they're using that as their primary campus.
There are plenty of offices over there. I can tell you that.
There are offices over there, and again, I don't know the exact numbers because I don't have that level of familiarity. There are offices there. The schematic and planning on office space for office staffing and faculty are obviously something we'll have to discuss before we go in and if you will begin to offer
Right.
classes, but Julie's point is well taken. That's something we'll look at, and if in fact we have any vision, the district has any vision of staying there for any extended period of time as an FTS generating facility, then I would suggest that we probably want to look at raising it to the level of an officially
Satellite
state-
campus.
Well, satellite campus,
Center.
but a official state center. Because once we reach center status, then the state supports that with $1 million of additional revenue to run the center.
Mhm.
So those are all things that's out in the future, but that's, if you will, a targeted outcome at some point in the future, working backwards toward where we're at.
I'm going to go to Dan. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay, I was going to go to Dan in a second, but I just want to say that we've done the initial income expense projections, and it's a good fiscal deal for the district if we can fill the facility. We're thinking about Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. roughly, Friday roughly on a weekend college model of roughly 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and Saturday roughly 8 to 5. And if we fill it all those day parts and evening parts, which we're pretty sure we can, it generates a fairly large number of dollars from an FTS point of view. And when you subtract all the expenses that we're projecting, there is a profit, a good profit that will help all of us in other ways. And then I want to go to Dan, and then we'll go to Austin.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not clear. Are we gonna be primarily offering adult ed classes?
No, I tried to be clear, and I guess I wasn't, so I apologize for that. We will be offering out of the gate traditional transfer level general education courses.
Okay.
There may be some adult ed, but ESL, but primarily it's a center that we want to make it as convenient to students as possible to continue a traditional community college journey, if you will.
Next time you do the slide, if you just cut out adult school,
Yeah,
I
I
think
you're
that'll
right.
be
Yeah.
clarifying for everybody, because
Yeah.
I had the same response Stan did,
Yeah.
and then I walked myself through the process.
It's a great point. So we'll clean it up. Austin, and then I want to go to Carol, and then I want to go to Julio.
So, I have a few. The first one is that is that adult school still open?
It just closed.
Okay, just closed. So, for the adults that do go there, if we turn into like the transfer general ed kind of campus with some adult classes? Will the adult classes that used to be there also be offered at
What El Monte
at the same
Union High
time?
School District did, because it was their adult school, but they consolidated their adult school programs into one facility. So they've, if you will, they've relocated those students
Oh,
in
okay.
services provided over there to another state, to be more cost efficient in how they offer their adult education services.
Okay then. So if we turn this into like what we're talking about right now, when would it be open?
Well, what we're looking at is as short-term courses starting this fall, so
okay.
8-week courses. So I guess those would start October something, I guess, right, Dr. Bell? So we'd open up as early as then,
Okay, good.
and I think it was Dr. Robinson.
I have a couple of questions. Number one is, I know you have to establish complete student services.
Yes.
So how is that going to help students out there to get counseling and the library
It's a good,
here?
it's excellent question. We in the plan, working with student services and Dr. Levo and others, we have talked about on-site, partial hours, and online as well. So we know for a fact that we've got to provide online counseling, online registration, online testing, as well as people. So we'll have people there as well as online for all of the student services, including the library. Our library, under under Marianne Lawn and certainly Dan and now Pearl, have done a really great job with online library services. So that's really helped quite a bit.
And if I can compliment that really fast, we will have some dedicated staff on the ground there. And then some of the primary services that students will need, for example, financial aid, some of those key services where we can't, with staff component there, the full hours of operation, we will have specific dedicated days. As an example, every Wednesday, for lack of a word, where there will be financial aid staff there with those expanded expertise to be able to walk students through those discussions. So we'll do a moderate staffing pattern to begin with, space and cost to consider, and then span it out across time. But we'll look to get a full complement of services to students there, again, on-site, on ground, and as Bob mentioned.
In the student services world, I've come to learn from accreditation visits and other things that I've done, they call it a one-stop process, where they cross-train people to cover a variety of areas. So a student goes in there and they don't have to go from building to building or place to place. They go to a one-stop and
They'll be finished by October? You'll have everybody trained?
I think so. That's what I'm told, and the facility will certainly be ready for that.
Now, is this a part of sort of phasing out the courses that that are being taught in the different high school locations? Or is this
Us? No. It's not. No, the high school bridge program that you're talking about,
Right.
that will continue. This is
Oh.
this is additional stuff at the Rosemead site, which, by the way, the vast majority of students we pick up, we hope to steal back from Rio Hondo, because they live out in that way, and it's easier and more convenient for them to get to Rio Hondo. So we hope to bring them back to us by having a site that will be more convenient to them.
So just for the sake of time and
Yeah,
us
sorry.
having to go through the list, I know Julio had a question or a comment, but I just want to be conscientious of the time. So was Julio next?
I just had a quick, I like the whole idea and expansions, way to go. But I think you guys haven't thought about staffing as far as maybe the IT. Because, we're outgunned on the campus and with CEC and the child. And now you adding a location that's 5 miles away.
Yeah, we are thinking about that. We are talked. Matthew has been over. We know what the additional. That's why that item number 1 becomes important, as Julie actually mentioned. We need people on the ground to help.
People
with these
relying
things.
on the computers a lot more. I mean,
Yeah.
times of the essence when it comes to.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment.
So what I'm hearing is that
Wait,
this
Dan,
is
one more. And this is an important discussion, so I know where you're going and I appreciate it. But let's give it another minute or two, just make sure everybody's happy.
Okay, Bob, I heard you say that this could be profit and funding enhancing, but how long is the lease, so in case it's not working out? How soon can we get?
Well, we're still working through that, but I don't think the Almana Union High School District will want to sign anything longer than 3 years, that's my guess. And I think I'd personally be comfortable with a 3-year lease to kind of kick the tires and try this out. But that's something that Joe and I and others are working on right now with them.
And we would always put into a lease agreement the opportunity to end the lease for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, to get out of it, right, exactly. All right, Anthony and then Julie.
Just real quick, have we done any research as to what kind of classes the students in that area would actually be wanting, or are we just putting together something and hoping that they come?
No, we've institutional research has looked at the students who live in that part of the world, if you will, Rosemead, Temple City, El Monte, taking a look at what those students take, and they take what just about any other student takes trying to get through a community college. So we're pretty certain that if you build it, they will come for the convenience of going there. Dr. Bell?
A very fair statement, and Anthony, we have looked at those data, and it does suggest that if we put in the traditional general education courses that we'll have, if you will, in regular main audience. To your point, one of the things we're additionally doing is doing more of a needs analysis and looking at the demographics of that part of our service area in the district, and using those data to suggest what we will do going forward for if you will, years 2 and 3 of the lease. So we're pretty pretty comfortable coming out of the gate that we'll be okay, but we'll also look to get a better sense of what the total demographic is, so we get a better comprehensive, if you will, offering the classes and just going with the traditional GE courses.
Right, which is why, for example, we thought about the ESL classes because there's a population out there who would definitely benefit from that, and they expect that. So we'll, do that. Yes, Julie?
I actually wanted to add something to the list.
Sure.
We need, and have needed for some time, some 24-hour-a-day access for our students to be on campus. We need a 24-hour-a-day Wi-Fi lounge or an entire open floor in the library where our students can rock it 24 hours a day. Where they live, where they breathe, where they will succeed. All of the academic research tells us that the more hours a day or a week we can keep these kids on this campus working, playing, studying, hanging out,
Good point.
the more likely they are to stay here with us. So it'll increase retention and success. And almost every campus, 4-year, not almost, I think all 4-year campuses have this. And I think that if we're really trying to make transfer one of our top priorities, we need to make success here a top priority.
So would we call that, just as a umbrella phrase, 24-hour center? What would you?
Something, yeah.
For the time being? Okay.
Or if we could fund a specific expansion of service, right? So like if you're saying like with some like library lounge, right, where we can just open up the hours.
And I
more,
think the
that's
library
additional.
would be a very logical.
Right, because we already
place
have
But
to
we
some
don't have to
space.
open the whole library,
No,
because that
but a
requires
piece
major
of-
staffing,
yeah.
but we need some
Right,
space.
but we can close
Off
up
floors.
because of the way that it's been funded, for like planned. We can cut off floors too.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah.
We're restricted to just the main floor.
Yeah, interesting. Good, it's good thought.
Okay. So it sounds like everyone agrees with the EMUHSD approach. Yes?
Should
Okay.
we just call that Rosemead site?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Thanks,
very
Cindy.
good. Rosemead site.
Good job.
So
Okay.
that Rosemead site is number 3 on our list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think that maybe marketing should be number 4 because we definitely need to get the word out that 1, that this Rosemead school is now like Pasadena City College, and 2, I feel like if we want to have like more full-time enrollment students for this year and the next year, then we definitely need more marketing because I do see like, well, I drive, so I don't take the bus, but I see people, my friends, and like on maybe bus banners that advertise that PCC has new classes. But one of the ironic things was that when I saw that there was an advertisement for like, oh, sign up for summer classes in the sign up for summer classes, ban like posters on buses, that at that moment there was an issue with the answer point, in that a lot of students that signed up to be a student were like brand new students that graduated. There was an issue with them actually being registered as a student at the college. But I think more marketing is definitely needed.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we make sure too that it's marketing on campus? Because one of the things we're seeing with our completion rate stuff is that people don't know when to add classes, drop classes, enrollment dates, and we could be using things like our parking structures don't have any like important dates or announcements. That would be helpful. Currently in the parking structure, they it's USC that's their
Yeah, okay.
radio station, not Lancer Radio. Like, there's some simple things that we could probably be doing that highlight the things we're doing on campus.
Okay. So marketing on campus and off.
Yeah.
But we're marketing, but my son is trying to add classes today, and there are no classes.
Yeah.
And that's today. And classes are not for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's two things about that. The first is, I agree with you, Austin, marketing has to be pretty high priority. You know, I think you've heard me say before, there are 18 community colleges within 30 miles of us, so there's a lot of quote-unquote competition. But the other thing is, and I think and hope that this is being addressed, Dr. Bellwright, Ophelia and others are looking much more closely, thanks to our banner data, at what courses are filling, and we can be more nimble about adding certain sections in certain areas. And I'll also parenthetically add, we are in the process of building 12 new instructional spaces on this campus this summer. So we're adding 12 new classrooms, 2 or 3 are LGI as well. So we're trying to add more space, because part of the problem with adding sections is having no place to add them, which is a reason why we're thinking about Rosemead and a reason why we're trying to add more classrooms here. But that's a really good point. So whatever classes he can't get into, you should send a note to Dr. Ariano or Dr. Price or Dr. Bell or somebody, because you're right, we should add more.
And part of it, Julie, is just nimbleness and being able to do it. As we move into the banner system, we'll be able to.
Lancer Point.
Lancer Point.
As we move
Spoken like a
into-
true academic academy professional learning person.
Right.
Keep
Excuse
your
me,
marketing
I
consistent.
stand corrected. As we move into Lancer Point.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll have a more efficient way of scheduling, because our gains now, as we come out of the summer period, are beginning the process of scheduling spring. That's how far in advance we can.
Right.
We can't anticipate what students' needs will be effectively for the spring if they haven't even gotten to the fall yet. But we're hamstrung by the current system. We have to go through one more ideation of scheduling into Lancer Point to get it fully templated. Then we'll be able to look more effectively at really what we offer from fall to spring across any academic year. Overlay that with all the educational planning information we'll have from students as they do ed plans, which will tell us 2 years out what they need. Overlay those, and then will give us a concept of not only what classes we've offered, but where we're deficit in the number of classes we need. Then we can start filling more effectively into those gaps rather than the way we do it now, but it'll be close to real time.
And we need to be really careful. I know pathways is the buzzword right now, but we need to not forget the ones that need to get out too.
Yeah.
And we are.
Which is where I see the
Completely.
bottleneck, is the upper level classes that they need.
As I euphemistically say, the second year pathway.
Yeah.
Get them in and then get them out. We're very much for it.
Well, there's also the ones that are in year 3, 4, 5, and 6 that we need to
Years. Yeah.
get out. We need to help them
Move on.
move on.
Yeah, which is why the marketing I think is important, because I think people haven't done things like make their ed plans, so they wind up getting stuck because they decided to take an extra semester of basket weaving, and then suddenly they're trying to crash our 101 classes, and it's like, you should have taken this 3 years ago. So
marketing, sounds like everyone thinks that's priority number 4. Okay, great. So any other suggestions for priority number 5?
I have one.
Yeah.
I know I'm not on the committee, but I see professional development number 2 under additional personnel before anything else can happen.
Okay.
Because you may have people here already that can do the job at Rosemead, but need a little more development.
Right.
So I think that those two go together, the personnel and the professional development.
And that's actually one of the projects that are at the moment, part of the Student Access and Success Initiative. You know, we haven't talked about that yet, but many of our major professional development initiatives, I would call our curriculum redesign initiatives, particularly in the area of math and English for our basic skills population, are coming out of that funding right now. The international pathway stuff. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things that are funded and supported. A huge number of faculty are engaged in those different projects right now, and they all sort of support the educational master plan where we're going. And APL is 250,000. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
About 250,000, and of which is out of the SASI dollars, which is roughly 960,000 requested right now.
What is APO?
Academy of Professional Learning, and it's a pilot project right now, but the idea is it's a cross-campus and cross level, so it's faculty, classified staff, and managers. So doing a comprehensive professional learning program that is not just compliance training. So this is the stuff that you're interested in too, Julie. Like, how do we modify our pedagogy so it's best fitting our students? Or for classified folks, like, it's not just do I have access to the technology? Am I getting like the holistic development to understand my job and do my job better? So it's not just the hiring and firing compliance training. This is how do we develop all of our faculty, staff, classified, and managers on campus.
And as Carol pointed out at the College Council today, we've not done a good job in communicating to the campus what APL is. And it partially because it was grassroots, it was last spring, there hasn't really a lot of time, but you're going to get or you or Sheila will get a phone call from Cynthia
Right.
saying we need to get the word out, we need to go to the classified senate, for example, and present to that board and do that kind of thing and educate folks as to what this is about, and et cetera. But it's the huge professional development initiative tied to the educational master plan that we talked about.
So am I hearing that maybe SASE and professional development should go either together, or SASE becomes a priority over professional development in this list of priorities?
I think it's separate.
Okay.
But I'm of course going to agree with Carol and say that I think it's hard to, especially I know with our classified and staff have all said that, faculty, we get a whole welcome to college and here's how you do your job, and classified get a thanks for coming. Do you know what I mean? And so there's no orientation day, as you know, and it's just it's embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
And so I agree with Carol that they're separate, but that we might want to consider moving professional development up.
Okay, so for the purpose of conversation, right now we have priority 1, 2, 3, 4, which is add personnel, student employment, Rosemead site, marketing on campus and off-site. So should professional development 1 be moved up to number 2 on the list?
I would say additional personnel and professional development. I marry the two together myself.
Everybody agree?
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a new priority number 1. Additional personnel and professional development. Yes.
If we're going to put a lot of dollars in professional development, I think we need to ask the professionals what kind of development they want.
Exactly.
Because I'm really worried that you talk to me as a faculty member about what you want as a college. You don't ask me as a faculty member what I need as a psychology professional trying to train psychology professionals. I need to go to psych conferences. That makes me a psychology professional. I understand that you need me to be a great faculty member, and I'll do all that training too. But if I'm going to put out rock star psychologists, I need to be there and hear them in the real world on a regular basis, and we've gone away from that as a campus, and that really concerns me.
Less conference attendance dollars and things like that.
Mhm.
There is a survey that Carol will also attest to that went out yesterday.
That wasn't on there.
It wasn't? Okay.
No.
Okay.
So, which is one of my, it was everything the college wants us to do.
Okay.
It wasn't what we want.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, so I still want to go back to the question about the Student Access and Success Initiative. Is that now a priority on this list, and would it become number 5 because of the linkage with Apple and?
Yeah, I wish I brought the projects list with me, but much of our innovation and the change that we've been able to fund the last couple of years has been funded through the SASI dollars. So I mentioned the math redesign project, the faculty's heavily engaged in, and that's basically a 2-track math. Maybe what I would call math for liberal arts and math for science, STEM, STEM majors. And they're heavily engaged in that. That's been funded by that. The other one has been the English, a redesign of the English curriculum with a goal of moving students through much more quickly. There's I'm trying to remember the lingo right now because I used to know all this very well.
Stretch and stack.
The stretch model, and what's the other one?
Acceleration.
And the acceleration model, thank you. Stretch and acceleration model within the English too.
It's the push me, pull
Exactly,
me.
push me, pull me, the whole model of changing the English, and that's been funded quite a bit. The one book, whatever that initiative is.
City.
One city thing. All of these things that have led to, and we talked about the professional development piece. And there's 2 or 3 others that are in there too. Dr. Bell, do you remember a couple of them? I know that.
But I
But
think
generally
that there's
speaking, it's all that stuff.
Yeah, but I think that we're arguing that it's separate because SASE is about doing innovative techniques versus professional development or professional learning.
No, I get the separate, but my point is,
Yeah.
it's where our R&D money has been funded.
Right.
It's the R&D stuff, and it's primarily faculty-related projects that tie directly to the educational master plan to result in, more degrees, more transfers, more certificates, and pushing people through the system faster. Which is where, as you know, in the basic skills world, they get stuck in that void, and we got to get them through that. The first year experience program, for example, has been funded through that in a big way.
So, go ahead.
So, talking about the SASE, is that going about courses like the math pathways? And
Yes,
That's all.
yes,
So
all
then,
that stuff.
something I would probably argue that that's maybe the next one on the list, I don't know, 5,
Mm-hmm.
because students need, right now I'm taking a summer class, and it's well, not the best one to take in the summer, but it's calculus, math 5A, and the first week of the class, there are a lot of students trying to.
You're gonna look good with gray hair.
There are a lot of students trying to add these math classes, but then in this class, we talk about math, 2 math pathways, one for the liberal arts, one for the STEM majors. But then issue with a lot of STEM majors, we deal with the math pathway, and then I know just recently, last semester, we did a chemistry pathway with chemistry 1A, 1B. But a lot of the science courses, students, a lot of the STEM majors need science courses, and especially with the trimester calendar change, when there's only fall and spring, is that if you're a STEM major and then you need physics 1B, you can't even start that until physics 1A until you take math 5A. So then this all these lab courses takes a long time. So I know a lot of STEM students that are in the 3rd, 4th, 5th year because it takes so much time to start these
Right. And the good news there is, again, with Banner and
Lancer Point.
I'm sorry, with Lancer Point, with Lancer Point and also 25 Live, the new scheduling software. Between the two, Dr. Ariano and others are working on block scheduling.
And the increased amount of sections.
Yeah, but
Right, those are the things that have forced people to be here longer because we haven't been able to add
Well,
all of the sections that people need.
But the block scheduling will be particularly important because what's happening is, in the past, with our old legacy system, we have scheduled things in such a manner that students couldn't logically take sequential courses, and that's added to the amount of time that they're on ground here.
Are we considering cutting the number of lab hours maybe for some of these classes?
That would
It's
have
a
to go through
CNI
CNI.
issue, Dr. Kyoto, so.
when
They would have to go through CNI, and so faculty, right now, there are 2 problems from what I've heard from the science faculty. One is if you're in health sciences, they by law can't cut lab hours. And if they do, they will lose their licensing. The other thing is that for people who want to go to medical school, they also expect a number of lab hours. So some of this is not an internal process. This is about what
External
the
accreditation
matriculation is.
It's
So
like a
there's-
science class can be 12 hours a
Yeah.
week
Yeah, and that's
for 4 units. How are
Yeah.
you going to do 2 science classes and a math class? It's crazy.
Well, and some of our math classes are that way too.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and I think all these things, and that's part of what SASI is funding right now, is faculty are taking a very serious look at those things and trying to make adjustments where they can within the confines of the accrediting institution.
Is that where the hybrid classes are coming in there?
Could be.
One of the
Okay.
Well, this for math, they've actually done whole amazing, beautiful curriculum redesign. I know somebody who hated math with a passion. They've done some stuff that I think has been really helpful.
Great.
Contextualize,
one of the
workplace oriented
issues
stuff.
that, but like, one of the issues with adding more science courses is, I think I brought this up to Dr. Livio, and then she said that a problem with that they can't actually add too many lab courses because there are not enough labs.
Right, so let me speak to that for 30 seconds. We know that we need more lab space. We are, through our facilities master planning process, we are planning the U building, which will come down finally, and we'll begin to build it up, and it will be a complete science
We'll
building.
be having a celebration around that.
Right. The E building, there's some space that'll be down in the E building, again, tied to the Center for the Arts, that what we call secondary space. We're gonna look at some conversion. But we're also really working with Dr. Douglas and his faculty to look at the opportunities of using other facilities that are in the district. For example, San Marino High School, South Pasadena High School, there's some wonderful facilities that go unused basically all summer, and that we could actually start using. So one way or another, we need more lab space, and we're working on that.
10 minutes.
I'm sorry. I am going to move us along a little quickly. So what I'm hearing is that this is a good conversation about SASE. It seems like it's very positive. It should go on our list as priority number 5. Agreed?
I'm wondering what program improvement funds are, because I'm wondering what the distinct difference is.
Matthew spoke to that specifically for purposes of accreditation, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
So this is coming out of people's like program review process and
Yes.
what they need to do in order to maintain criteria.
What he's suggesting is that once they go through the IEC process, the Institutional
Right.
Effectiveness Committee process, and they come out the other end, and the other end says you need to do X, some
Okay.
amount of funding to support X.
Then I vote that should be moved up.
Program
That program-
involvement,
the
improvement
program
funds?
improvement funds, because that's about whether or not we're supporting our programs specifically that we currently have that need help.
Right. And I think the truth of that, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Bell, but the truth of that is that comes through that process, and in fact, it's deemed as essential, and we want to keep that program. We'll find the money to do that anyway.
Right.
Because it's essential.
Okay. So, just
Could that be combined with instructional equipment?
no. Instructional equipment, the reason why that's on there is when I first started and we were having the conversations about Prop 30 and it passing, we asked divisional deans what type of equipment that they need, and I was really surprised to see the dollar amount associated with it. It was a huge chunk. They have a projector that's not working, or they have some other type of equipment in the classroom that's really needed.
Okay. So that's a different thing.
It's totally different, yeah. So talking about instructional equipment, is that something you guys feel is important and should be at the higher end of the priority list, or the cultural center, or this 24-hour center library lounge?
Well, I think, I'm on the committee, so I'll speak from the wings here. Instructional equipment is important because not only was that list a high dollar amount, much of that equipment is beginning to be dated. And so it's almost like renewable equipment, some of the stuff that, many of our programs are dealing with equipment that's 5, 6, 7 years old. So at some point, we do need to look at constant renewal of instructional equipment. Whether we do it all in one fell swoop, I don't know, because it is a very large ticket item, if you will. But we do need to be cognizant of the fact that some programs, particularly the laboratory sciences, those sorts of things, that we have to keep the equipment relevant and state-of-the-art up to date as we need to.
Okay. And so, because this is directly related to students and their education, is this something that we should make it the priority number 7 on the list of 13? Yes? Okay. Instructional equipment. Okay.
Can I vote for one to move down to 13?
Sure.
Can we keep the property for dorms at the end?
Sure.
Can we just vote on that one right now?
I'm against that. I would really like to, I think that's a high priority. Because I think it would bring us funds that will help our other programs.
I think I hear and I understand the fiscal intention behind supporting international students.
And
However, and domestic.
Well, I think that is the
That's-
reason for supporting the international students, because they're gonna bring the costs down and allow us to support more
Yeah,
domestic
and
students.
I hear that
Cost
argument.
effective.
I also don't know that I necessarily want to see an emphasis on us recruiting on international students, and that's a I totally get it financially. I just
But I think it's much
philosophically
more
can't.
than financial, too.
So would the question then become, because we can't do this overnight, that it is a lower priority because it's a small amount to begin the planning stages, and then maybe next year it becomes a higher priority on
Well,
the list of critical
and
needs?
also practically speaking, any kind of construction of a dorm would result in a private-public partnership, of which the vast majority of the funding would come from the private sector. You know, we're already being approached on various and sundry opportunities, and we would approach it that way. Plus, when we do our facilities master plan, to the extent that international education is seen as a priority, and yes, you're absolutely right, Keith, dorm space is probably the biggest issue tied to international students. It would be part of our bond initiative, that we would maybe put money in the bond request to help construct dormitories. So it can be on the list, but I don't see a lot of true general fund $0.01 being invested in it.
Could I try once more?
Sure.
Property like the Ambassador property here in Pasadena, that would be available almost immediately if we could negotiate that. The former dorms there.
I also I will agree with
Keith Oberlin.
yeah, I wasn't sure if I should call you professor, but I was like, okay. I would also agree with Keith because if you ever walked into the CC building, in the Office of Student Affairs on the left side, there is a list for housing, and it's not like a large list, but I mean there are students that post, oh, they're like offering space, and then there are students looking for space. And also you can see around campus on the bulletin boards. But I think one of the points that Property for Dorms was about was not only for our international and regular students, but that because there's a lot of other colleges like Art Center and the Culinary School in Pasadena, that it would help bring money in from those students as well.
Yeah, we wouldn't able to necessarily have them on there for liability reasons though. So
Well, but I will say very quickly that we have we have Caltech, we have PCC, we have the California Art Institute. Is that what it is?
Art Center?
Art Center, thank you. We have the Culinary Institute. We have Pacific Oaks. There's like 6 or 7 higher ed, and Fuller. And so the bottom line is that if we did do something like this, we'd probably do a partnership with some of the other institutions in town as well. So this would be, because everybody has the same need. And but anyway, so we don't spend too much time on this. Definitely it's a priority. It's just a question of how we get to it. So it can be on our list, because I think it should be on our list. If we think it's, we may not be able to fund everything this year, but I think it's important to have a list of things that this group thinks are important.
Right. So we won't put it down yet, but let's keep going through what we've got left. And what we have left so far is the Cross-Cultural Center, 24-hour center or library lounge, the completion agenda task team funding, fiscal comparable, and property for dorms.
How does number 1 read right now?
Number 1 is additional personnel and professional development.
And cost comparison. Because I don't think we should be hiring anybody until we know what they really should be making in the real world.
Okay.
So that's the fiscal comparable?
Yeah.
Fiscal comparable.
We need to do some actual paid for economic comps.
Okay. So let me ask this question first. Everybody good with combining the 3 into 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everybody good with making that priority number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're basically saying if new positions are going to be authorized, we should do a salary survey of some type on that position and make sure we're putting it out there in a competitive way.
And I'm saying that our salary schedules that we have now
In the aggregate, absolutely.
need to
That's
be
it.
fixed also.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. We're knocking them out. So now we have Cross-Cultural Center, 24-hour center library lounge, completion agenda task team funding, the property for dorms.
What's completion agenda testing funding?
I don't remember
I'm
that
not
one.
sure who added that.
So is this based on our scorecard?
I don't. Where did that come from? Was that
No, I'm
from?
trying to remember because program maps.
I mean,
are-
the completion
What's the
agenda is
same
this
thing?
concept of just completing, so do we have a completion agenda task team?
Well,
Or funding a
You know
completion
what? I
agenda
think-
Is
task
that
team?
for our students to complete?
Yeah,
I think that
I
was
think-
We need that.
John Fraser.
I think it was the idea of
but this is
funding
based
a
on
task
the
team.
state.
Oh,
My
Wasn't the
understanding
scorecard?
is based on the scorecard.
oh.
And so this would be a task team looking at our scorecard and then
Oh.
following through on the state recommendations for the completion agenda. Am I close to what was probably related
Probably.
to
Yeah,
this?
And actually-
John's the one that brought it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question is I like having a task team sounds fine. I'm wondering why we need to fund it and or how much funding
I agree.
like what the proposal was around that.
I agree.
I think we should have somebody who's checking in on the scorecard. How is this different from other things that we have on campus?
So
As
can,
opposed, like why wouldn't this be a directive underneath college council?
Right.
It's you know what I mean. Like
so I'm gonna actually put that down. This should be a directive under college council. Does
I
that
would
make sense?
argue that that is probably where it is best housed, right? Like that's looking at all the services on campus
Well,
and are we meeting
or for that matter, Dr. Bell might say he's going to pull together his own team of people to look at the recommendations from the state and come up with ways to make sure they're here. But I think through SASI and all the other things that we do around here, we're paying very strict attention to those 21 recommendations right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have an obligation to do that anyway.
Yeah.
because we're,
So I think we're doing
so
it.
not having heard what that means and how John put it out there.
I don't yeah.
Can I interact? When we were talking to Dr. Olivo after everybody was gone from this morning, she was stating that the scorecard from the state regarding the Hispanic students,
Mm-hmm.
that they're looking into it very closely on our scorecard for these students that are
Yeah.
not completing it.
And that's a subset of the 21 items of the statewide, the Student Success Task Force
Mhm.
completion agenda, 21 items.
Right. So I agree that there should be a completion agenda task team formed. I don't know if it needs to be funded, rather than they should be looking at following through with the recommendations as a way to publicize how we're meeting those needs.
And I wouldn't necessarily tie to the college council. I'm not sure it's a college council function as much as it is a function of academic and student affairs and business and college services to do what we need to do
Does it?
I would really like to hear more from, did you say John?
I
John
believe it was John Fraser.
John Fraser?
Oh,
I
John
believe it was
Fraser.
Fraser.
Was it Fraser or?
I believe so.
Just get a better idea.
Do you know
of
what he-
exactly what he has. 'cause
I
think
have
that's-
No idea.
I-
Spits out ideas and I have no clue where they come from.
I don't.
I can,
Again.
I'm not. It's.
I don't
ridiculous.
know
I can,
either.
I can send him. I can call him today and ask him to email you guys.
Yeah,
Just
just
something.
It's
Yeah.
important for us to
That's
talk about the
awesome.
completion agenda, but I just want to make sure that we're doing justice to
Okay.
whatever that.
Marcy, a few more minutes.
Oh, let's go meeting in here? Oh, no wonder you've been pushing us so hard.
I am.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, what we have left on the list is the cross-cultural center, 24-hour center, library lounge, and the property for dorms.
Yes.
Can we
That order?
do that really?
I think
that
that
order
order
for
you
that
just
order.
said is good.
Okay, good job, guys. Excellent discussion, good meeting. We're gonna have another meeting on August 22nd.
Yes.
And the meeting time is, do we have a meeting
I
time
still
yet?
have it as 2:30 unless we wanna try and do 12:30.
No,
Oh.
it'll be faculty professional learning days will be happening those days, and that's going to be our lunchtime.
So 2:30 is good for
Is a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2:30 to,
Here, 2:30 to 4.
I think
p.m.
it's
here.
Mhm.
Any future agenda items?
Is it possible to get previous notes on a website that we have access to?
Everything is posted on the Brac website, on the PCC, everything.
So all previous,
I can send you the
so we
link
can
to it.
shred stuff as soon as we
Oh, yeah.
leave and have,
Go for it. And I always keep backups of the handouts, so if you need anything reference, I could send it to you.
no,
if
I'd
you
rather
need
not have the paperback. I'd rather have
I brought in two books too, just as a quick announcement that are on budgeting and higher ed.
Wow.
I brought them in mostly because I think it would be good for us to read one or the other as a committee so that we're using similar language and have priorities. These are ones that are often suggested as texts in doctoral programs, so some of you may have seen them in your doctoral programs, which is why I chose them. But I think it would be a good idea for a future conversation to discuss having similar language and priorities using a text that we all can share.
Okay, so we'll agendize that for the next meeting and talk
So
about that.
if anybody wants to look at them, I brought them in now.
Yeah, but I'm untrainable because I can't even get lantern points set. So. All right, so thank you very much. So we can let everybody out of here.
You're right.